Our session today features a Rutgers Business School Executive Education fan favorite faculty member, Christina Curley, known in the industry simply as CK. CK has been teaching in RBSEE mini MBA programs for more than 15 years. Over that time, she's taught on across many technologies. Today, she's back to take you on a tour across 10 pivotal shifts in AI set to transform our world over the next 5 years. I'm intrigued, and I know our audience is too. So let's dive in. CK, take it away.
Aw, thank you. And I want to say a big thanks in advance to my best mate for these webinars, Margaret. It just occurred to me, we've been doing this for 5 years, and she has been terrific. And not enough crew gets not enough appreciation, but we don't do that at Rutgers. So it is truly a team effort. Before I dive in, a few things I need to go over. While I have lived in New York City for 25 years, I moved to Southern California in 2020, and thank goodness I still travel back and forth because I'm not letting Rutgers go and they're not letting me go. But I am coming to you from Southern California right now. I am okay, knock on wood. But I do need to ask some patience because if there are alerts coming in on my phone and I look to the side, I promise you it's because I need to stay informed in case of any changes. And second, this shouldn't happen, but we've had electrical outages and power outages this week to keep people safe and to repair lines. But if that happens, don't worry. Margaret and I are going to take this recording offline so you all have it. And I want to say this. Technology is magical, and I am in awe of AI, but it is nothing for how humbled I am of the magnificence of the frontline responders and firefighters out there right now. These tragedies make us see what's important, and what's important is our loved ones, our first responders, and our educating and lifting each other up like we're doing through this webinar and so many other pieces. Now, I'm going to be going through a lot of changes to a lot of AI, and that's going to take a bit of time. Now, you're going to have a lot of questions, and that's okay because we got you covered. In the case that I can't get to all questions, I don't think I will be able to. At the end of the hour, Margaret and I are meeting early next week to do another video just to do Q&A. That way I don't breeze through your questions. I get everything answered. We just ask for patience because we're probably going to have to do that on Tuesday, but then we will email that link. So you're going to get the recording, the PDF, and a special Q&A session. Now, when it comes to AI, heck, when it comes to technologies, this gal has been in the World Wide Web and 15 technologies over the last 30 years. In fact, my whole motto is invent, reinvent, and most important, repeat. Invent, reinvent, repeat. I was talking AI way back in 2018 through my TEDx speech when hardly anyone was talking about it except for the thought leaders far smarter than me that are my teachers. So it's so exciting that we're seeing so much change. But three key things here, folks. This is the worst that AI will ever be. I'm about to go through magic here, and I'm telling you, this is the worst it will ever be. That's one. Two, this is the costliest AI will ever be. And third, this is the slowest pace of change we will ever see. We say, things have never changed so fast, CK. And I go, I agree. But the real piece is here. The real pieces, and they will never, not ever, be this slow again, which is why it's so important that we put education for our own, through our companies, through our networks at the top of our list. And most importantly, if we're looking at 100 years worth of change over the next 10, 15, 20 years, we need a way to bring some clarity to the complexity. So I have three goals today as I walk you through 10 AI shifts. One, I want to simplify it for you. Second, I'm not an AI. just a proudly imperfect human being, and we need to humanize these technologies. We need to better understand how technology, especially AI, is here to elevate us. It works for us, not the other way around. And it's to improve the quality of our lives, our work, and our play. We need to humanize and better understand these technologies, and darn it, we need a better way to organize and manage the madness. So I have three goals. I want to simplify, humanize, and organize across 10 key shifts. And that means presenting them in a better order for you, giving you examples that are both consumer and business, and talking about them the way that computers don't talk, not in code, not in algorithms, not in math, in plain English. I've got a lot of technologies to get through, so I'm going to start with number one. The big shift of number one, personal. AI that's all about you. AI, we are personalizing to what we need, when and where we need it. And darn it, these devices, all this computing, all this data that we've been giving, all of this technology for all of these decades needs to serve us. Here, it's AI is continuing to center upon, while updating upon our individual preferences, habits, behaviors, and needs. And it can't stand still in time because we change, our needs change. I really want to give you the micro and the macro of how important it is that AI and all technologies, I say IT infotech has now become IT intelligent tech, is personalized to us. Whether it's as trivial and basic as retail products that are personalized to us, here are some recommendations, or when we go on to Netflix and we have personalized recommendations across our TV, our documentaries, our crime docs, whatnot, to being able to personalize these AI systems with our brand voice, like we do in, say, HubSpot or Jasper. We really want to not just have the data available and have these capabilities, but have them more personalized. Those to me are more micro examples. Where we're really going is where it really makes the biggest difference. When we're personalizing, as I'm showing on the screen here, whether it's through trackers, through health, or for education tutors, we are going to the bigger, broader scope of one, personalized and precision health and personalized education. A lot of times I'll say generations will look back and they'll gasp at how fundamental we were. We're going to gasp at the fact that every single lesson was not able to be personalized with homework and with collaboration like it is now through AI being so capable. Same thing with our health insights. They say that when you're healthy, you've got a million problems. You got 5 pounds to lose, your husband's driving you crazy, you're overwhelmed at work. But when you're sick, you have one problem. What we want to do is precision healthcare and personalized medicine so that we prevent and predict these types of symptoms and diseases. So understand that when we're talking about personal AI, as easy as it is to look at your phone and see that things are personalized for you on your social media feed or Amazon recommendations for retail, we're talking about a bigger, broader story, okay? Which brings us to number two. AI finds its voice, conversational. Now I don't just talk to text like I have for the last 7 years to be able to send out texts easier and faster. Now I can start talking to these AI systems. And I'll tell you, if there was a killer app, maybe I should call it a killer capability, I believe conversational is chief among them. Because when we're making these human and machine conversations more intuitive and more effective, we'll use the AIs more. When we use the AIs more, they get better. The better they get, the more we use them. The more we use them, the better they get, and so on. Folks, conversational has been such a boon to me in two ways. First of all, I use AIs every day as a collaborator to help me on my writing, to help me brainstorm or organize. But where I really use it the most is a learning tutor. And when I'm able to use the new voice mode that just came out in the last 6 months through ChatGPT, and will be across all of these technologies very shortly, I'm able to learn more. I'm able to ask more. I'm able to reskill and accelerate my learning. So when it comes to conversational, it's everything from, heck, when ChatGPT first came on the scene, and I believe it was November of 2022, this tweet here on the screen said the hottest new programming language is English. Heck, the hottest new programming language is any of the human languages, because now we can have our computers speaking back to us. But where it's really going is being able to speak to us in conversational ways. And this makes all the difference. If you haven't used it already, a wonderful research and expert assistant is notebook.lm through Google. I can bring my lesson plans in, I can bring my data and research notes in, and it can give me questions. But even better, if I hit the podcast option, a AI male and AI female do a podcast for an hour explaining the subject to me. AI is giving voice to our data, and it's enabling us to learn more effectively. So you'll see more of these. One thing I'm really excited about is Perplexity, another LLM, large language model like ChatGPT, that has just acquired Carbon. Carbon makes it easier for AIs to connect to our own data. You ever wish you could go through all your emails to find something? You ever wish you could go through all your research notes? This is where this capability comes in. You know, I want to say this. I want to say we are done the era of search. Thank goodness. We are in the era of find and explore. 30 years in this business, folks. And I remember when Google first came on the scene, and I was so excited with, I'm going to call it the OG Google, okay? OG Google came on the scene with search results. I didn't have to leave my place. I could go through them, but now even that's too much friction. I want to find, I want to learn more. If there's anything we want more of in our personal lives and our work, is more time to do more of the work that matters. So it is the era of find, no longer of search, less friction. And these types of acquisition, like Perplexity has done with Carbon, will make it so we don't just type in our queries to our own data. We ask the question. We are literally going to be talking to our own data, and our data is going to be talking back to us. Can we ever believe, can we even realize in this moment how staggering it is that we finally have a much more human web? So conversation for me and conversational is a killer app and a killer capability, which brings me to development 3, customizable. I call it your AI, your way. It's not just that we have AIs and have these amazing possibilities and progress and tools and technologies, is that we are able to tailor them to our needs and our organizational needs. So it's not just personal AI, it's AIs that we can personally tailor, and we are able to customize them in incredible ways already. Let me give you 6. First, we can configure what I call proprietary LLMs. That is a closed system like a ChatGPT, Perplexity, or Claude, right? And we can configure them if we need them to prioritize answers a certain way, or more importantly, we need to bring our data in. This is usually with enterprises and the like. But we also have open source LLMs that we can customize at the actual source, the source code. Whether here on the screen, I'm showing you Meta's Llama, and I'm showing you DeepSeek version 3, which is a real big rage right now because of the way that it's enabling us to get answers even faster. So there are 2 ways there that we can configure and we can customize LLMs. But we can do even more than that. Heck, when we're using our content styles without even uploading any data, because I use several LLMs, I'm always experimenting, right? I can decide on my custom way of my content. Do I want it crafted whimsical? Do I want it more formal? Do I want more concise answers? Or when I'm going over to Instagram and I want to change the background, or when I'm going over to TikTok and I want to look a few years younger and a lot more made up, why doesn't Zoom have filters already? Anyhow, the point here is that we can edit the content too. And ever more exciting is that we can create things like custom GPTs. If we want help with a singular task or a singular customer service or data point, we can create those. And now we're going to be able to develop autonomous AI agents. I'm not going to go into this yet because it gets its own point in a few slides. The point here is it's not just personal AI, it's not just conversational, the shift. It's customizable and tailored. And that makes a huge difference because we all have different needs at home and at work and everywhere in between. So it's not just that we are customizing the data ourselves and customizing the AI tools. We need them to adapt on their own because we need AIs that meet the moment. We need AIs that dynamically adjust and adapt to varied and vast context and conditions. It's funny to think that I was working in a field when we couldn't adapt to certain context and conditions. But everything is not just personal AIs and customizable capabilities, but it's the various context and the various conditions. Let me explain. So these AIs are adapting and adjusting across varied context. What does context include? It can include different situations and conditions, different locations and environments. Heck, I don't have the same needs. I don't listen to the same playlist that I do at work that I do at home. Our different behaviors and preferences. One thing that I really urge to everyone when we talk about an attention economy, I say it's an expectation economy because never before have we seen our customers and our prospects change their expectations so rapidly. Why? Because this AI technology is not proprietary. It's in everyone's hands. So now I'm finding, heck, with conversational AIs, I'm finding how slow it is to type out an email rather than to be able to easily talk it through and have it talk back to me. And I'm a fast typist, but these behaviors and preferences are different contexts and they're different conditions, along with different activities and different events. So, for example, let's call it real-time relevant AI, something we use all the time with GPS and say Waze app. This is adjusting based on traffic, the context, time of day, and preferences by the user. Some users don't want to take freeways. Some people want to take the byway. It just depends upon that. Those are different contexts. And that's a context that makes a lot of sense to us, but that's a micro example. As important as it is, it's a micro example. Let's talk about the macro. Let's talk about things like through HubSpot and Shopify, where we're able to have adaptive marketing. Because now it's not a linear process. The customer journey is anything and everything goes, even when it's the same customer, it just is different context. So we need to have AI systems that adjust images, copy, discounts, offers, calls to action. My partner and I have a lot of fun when we're wanting to buy things online through Amazon or whatnot, and we find out where he gets the better discount and where I do because of our preferences, because of our behaviors, because of adaptive marketing, and these adaptive systems that change and adjust what they need to do and how they need to do it intelligently based upon context. Let's go to one of my favorite industries to go through in technology because it's one of the most old world industries, Yet it's one of the most high tech. Hardly anyone talks about it. It's agriculture. The agriculture, they talk about, out in the field. That is a saying because of farmers that were always out in the field. One of the first groups that embraced mobile were farmers. Why? Because they were always out in the field. Now I see I have a raised hand there. Margaret, do I have a question that I need to answer right now? Because I'm happy to.
We can still, the questions are queuing up and we can still take those at the end. I
Perfect.
just noticed the hand too, and I'll let that person know to use Q&A for us. So thank you.
Perfect. And I want to say again to people who might have come in a few minutes after the hour, just in case we don't get to all answers, fret not, because Margaret and I are going to have a session on our own early week to address all the questions. And so I don't have to breeze through them and I don't overlook any. And we're going to do a video on that everyone's going to get. So let me come back to agriculture for a second. So one of the oldest world industries is one of the most high tech, and it's high tech because we have systems through John Deere and the like that have this adaptive agriculture. Why? Because the context changes. We have droughts, we have cold snaps, we have heat and humidity, we have different pesticides that are needed or not needed. We have different weather patterns. So through adaptive AIs and these technologies, we are better able to make sure we have a better yield of our crop and healthier crops as well. Remember, when we're datafying and digitizing the world, we're then able to connect that world and to use it more intelligently, whether it's at the micro smart home level or whether it's at the farm and the agricultural macro level. So adaptive is really key and really breakthrough because of the context and it adapting to it and adjusting to these various contexts across various user needs, various organizational needs, and various industry needs. So you're going to see this just explode over the next 12, 24, 36, and 60 months. Now that we've talked about adaptable and contextual and conversational and personal, now we're going to talk about how AI awakens its senses. And it's called multimodal, and it's called multimodal because it's activating new modalities of understanding data in different forms: text, video, visual, audible, all these different types of data it's able to understand, and then it's able to generate insightful outputs. So it's not just taking in the information and processing, but it's able to then generate an insightful output. I will give you examples across this, but sometimes it's taking in the information one way, text, and outputting it in a different type of mode altogether, images and videos. So when we're talking about multimodal and we're talking about AI awakening senses, what we're talking about is AI understanding and generating multiple types of data. Heck, conversational AI is a prime example of multimodal. But when I'm explaining this, whether to students, colleagues, family members, friends, I'm saying, you know what? AI now has the ability to see. It can see and it can listen to my audio discussions saying, this is what's in my fridge or on the counter. Can you generate a recipe? Or look at my tire. Does it need air? Or how to fix a flat tire? And it can generate a text summary or it could generate a conversational summary. Heck, I'm pretty sure it'll soon be able to generate a video summary showing you how to make that recipe if that's what you're looking for. So when we're talking about awakening the senses, sight, talking, hearing, we're not just talking about it can see, it can also hear, right? Zoom, our Zoom companions can listen to what's going on right now and then provide you detailed notes. Sure, you're going to have to craft it. You'll need to edit it. We need to edit everything. but it's generating a text summary from an audio conversation. So it's truly multimodal, and probably some of the biggest and most awesome and exciting of the examples is now through ChatGPT, through Sora, or through what Google just announced. I believe you call it VO, not VEO, but you can type in and get an image back, or even better, a video back. So we can take information from one sense and create it in another sense, going from text to visual, to video, even to audio. Heck, what I was talking about before through Notebook LLM, it's taking text and then producing a podcast for you to learn from. Now, I said I do micro and macro examples. Think of it this way. These AIs are supporting healthcare because they're analyzing various media types and creating diagnoses and supporting options. For example, being able to look at text and understand medical records, then being able to look at images like radiology scans, then being able to listen to the doctor speaking to the patient in order to support the doctor and look out for our health. So it's going across multiple modes of information, and it's giving us intelligence back. Why? Because AI is here to elevate us in our work and improve the quality of our health, the quality of our life, and the quality of our play. So multimodality and AI growing senses and awakening senses is a truly exciting time, because again, these technologies are becoming more human. So we'll use them more and they will become far more useful. Which brings us to number 6. AI is getting hecka intellectual. AI is starting to think really big. Now, AI has been smart before, but now it's advancing. I want you to understand systems that we're used to, like Anthropic Claude or ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini, that is all predictive. They are predicting what answer we need, what direction we need. But AI now has reasoning or enhanced reasoning, or they even call it reason-based models. There's multiple ways to say it. But what it means is that AI is advancing from predicting to reasoning in order to solve complex problems. For example, my needing another take on my bio or a speech description, as complex as it may seem to me in the moment, it's not a complex problem. But when we're talking about bigger problems to solve, being able to better understand with medical diagnoses, heck, legal research, tomes of research and case law we need to go through, financial planning, not just looking at the portfolio of a company, but market trends and dynamically adapting, looking at, predictive flows and implications and all of those trends. These are much more complex. Being able to better support our frontline responders that are taking care of these fires right now, being able to have better ways to manage and mitigate and adapt to climate change. Folks, we are in a time when we have big technologies, and thank goodness, because we have big, big problems we need to solve. So sometimes we need to use these models that I've just brought on the screen, whether it's OpenAI's models, whether it's Sonnet through Claude, or whether it's the new Gemini Flash that Google just announced in December. But we're able to use these on a personal level or on an enterprise level to attack, combat, and think through and reason through these bigger problems. I got to tell you, these are going to be a scientist best friend. And for pharmaceutical, when we haven't been able to go after certain, discovery and drug discovery because it's a smaller market population, there's only so much money. Now we're going to be able to get to those answers, and we're going to be able to invest in far more and far wider drug discovery. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about quantum, which will be its own webinar for sure in the near future. But I need for us to understand there are already companies that are creating and working with quantum technologies, which is a whole different type of technology, but it is still under the heading accelerated computing. AI is accelerated computing. And when we talk about systems that think big, quantum, Google's new quantum chip just in December solved in 5 minutes, right? What takes the best supercomputers 10 septillion years to solve. 10 septillion years to solve is such a big number that it's hard to resonate. Understand that's longer than the history of the earth. Just understand that we have bigger technologies coming, which will bring their own implications, which will bring their own risks, but they'll be able to be better at solving the bigger, more complex problems. Does that mean they'll replace AI? Nope. Heck, AI has not replaced mobile. If anything, mobile is still the remote control of our lives, but we're going to be using much more AI through our mobile than we are, old world or OG apps like we did in the last 15 years. So understand that this part on intellectual and AI thinking really big is both already here and we're building more towards it. You won't always need to use AIs that apply reasoning and logic, but in some cases, you may need to use those, and that is available to you both on a personal level as well as on an enterprise level or an organizational level. Aspirational. AI with ambition, I like to call it. You are going to be hearing a lot, for a lot of good reasons, about AI agents or what is called agentic AI. And I'm going to explain this. Where we're going, like I said before, where we're going from predicting AIs to reasoning. With AI agents, we are going from reactive, task-oriented capabilities to proactive, goal-driven autonomy. What that means on a very basic level is right now, I am constantly going into an AI like a chat GPT or an Anthropic Claude. And I am prompting, I am asking for feedback, direction, edits on whatever I need. So that is an AI that's reacting to me. And it's wonderful. Or I'm using an AI to help filter out, spam, or I'm using it for a singular task. Where we're going with agents is to have much more proactive and goal-oriented AIs. So these proactive goal-oriented AIs that we are in charge of and we code, or I should say develop, because we're not going to have to speak in code, will work across an entire workflow for us. I'm going to give an example here. Right now, I use sometimes Instacart to do my grocery shopping. Or right now, I use an app that keeps my grocery list and can even tell me in my favorite supermarkets if my item is in stock and where in the supermarket I can find it. And that's been a breakthrough to my life. Oh, my AI friends, how quickly that will go the way of OG Google and the era of searching, not finding. Through an AI agent, I could put my preferences in. I could link what I want from my grocery list to, say, an Instacart, right? To my method of payment, to different preferences I have for coupons and discounts and the like. And that agent autonomously, because I've set it up, takes care of my shopping every single week. What we're going to find is we are so lucky to have this explosion of technologies and tools, but that we will have recent examples to draw upon where we use our mobile so much, looking down, so much input for very little output. That's about to constantly and explosively change for us. So AI is getting ambition because it's becoming more aspirational. Heck, Salesforce came out, cutest name, Agent Force. where these agents didn't just do one task, but could help across customer service tasks and full workflows. Heck, don't just make me go and analyze my data, find the insights, and I'll use some Google Docs to help me create a report. Do the entire workflow for me. Have it created every day if I want it, every week, every month. I can spend more of my time going through the results to know what I should be doing next and what I shouldn't be doing next. I understand well that people are going to say, what the heck are humans good for, CK? With all of these AIs doing all this amazing work autonomously, what will we be good for? This is my favorite part of this age being any of these technologies I've done over the last 30 years. Heck, in my TED Talk on AI, it was called Why Automation, AI, and Robotics Are a Human Revolution. It's because it's really easy for us to look back and say what technology will replace. It's devilishly difficult to zoom forward at what it will create. And I can tell you what it's going to create. It's going to show us so much of what humans should have never done in the first place or shouldn't be doing now because we have much more human time to spend on the ideas, not as much the execution. Heck, for marketers, that is amazing. We can spend much more time on that. The democratization of tools. Hollywood is about to see a lot of innovation from the small guys and gals because they're going to be able to use these technologies to create more things. So understand in the AI age, when we're learning about all these bots and all these tools and technologies, the biggest thing we'll learn is about ourselves. As long as we continue to reskill, and I want to say this because I say it a lot, there are certain things that I don't like about being 55. Chief among them, wrinkles. There's a lot of things I love. Chief among them, wisdom. I'm able to look back at the last 30 years and say, I continue to be busier with all these technologies, but on the things that matter. So when it comes to agentic AI, and where Google has come out swinging after we made fun of Gemini 1.0 for good reason, but it's made up on it. Gemini 2.0, it just came out with 7 different amazing tools to be part of the suite. They want to become your universal assistant. Of course they do. There's more competition, and competition is good. But these agents will combine decision making. They'll have a persistent memory. They'll remember my preferences. I won't have to explain it with every prompt every single time. They'll apply reasoning when it's important. They'll understand how to navigate these contexts. But most importantly, they will be able to do this autonomously for me and be proactive so that my time and my attention, your 2 most important resources you'll ever have. Why do you think those social media love all your attention? They're no fools. Your time and attention can be placed on the most important work and the most important time with your loved ones at home. So this agentic AI and these agents, think of it as AI with ambition and just write down proactive, autonomous, and not just linking a system, linking other systems, like I was saying with, say, an Instacart or a grocery app or a discount app. They're linking all that together along with the data. But again, you're in charge. So you're going to be seeing this buzzword a lot, and for a lot of good reasons, because all too soon we'll laugh at how basic AI was just a couple of years ago. Okay? So number 8, local. AI is getting really local. It means AI is moving to the edge. Why do I say edge? Oh, my fabulous techies and all their terms. The reason we use cloud computing is because when these brainiac techies were compiling the infrastructure of how these networks would work, it was not going to be able to be powered on the device or at the local level. It needed cloud computing, and thank goodness for cloud computing. That's why we're able to use a lot of these AIs. But a lot more of devices and systems, not all, need to move to the edge of the network. What does that mean? It means moving to the device level. I'm going to go over self-driving cars soon. A self-driving car can't just operate at the cloud level. It needs to make split-second decisions. In a factory, if I don't have edge computing working for me, it could be unsafe with all this industrial machinery. Heck, in healthcare, we need these at the edge. So we're decentralizing this processing, and it works beautifully for many reasons. One, it improves performance, it decreases latency, and it increases privacy. Right now, we have CES going on in Las Vegas, Consumer Electronics shows. And of course, I'm like a kid at a candy store from afar looking at all these terrific advances. But I am blown away with where super chips have gone, because all this processing is going to take a lot of smarts at the chip level. You've likely heard of NVIDIA. It is a big darling and big AI tech, and for a big reason. What it's come out with is a supercomputer, as you can see on the screen here, and Jensen Huang's the CEO, in the palm of his hand, that can run its own LLM, that can do a quadrillion computing programming per second. It's like septillion. It just blows our mind for $3,000. Folks, AI is the costliest it will ever be. AI is the worst it will ever be. And AI is faster than it's ever been, and it will never be this slow again. So we're seeing chips that can take advantage of LLMs through open source, configuring them at the consumer level, and it's becoming so much more affordable. Heck, Apple Intelligence that came out, the biggest piece there was it was keeping your privacy safe because it was keeping it on the device at the edge level. And heck, they even came out and said, let third parties test us, which all of these folks should do, because we need to have that assurance. More on that later. But understand, more of these AI first devices, whether it's IoT, Internet of Things, connected products, places, systems, and platforms, are all going to be more available to us because they're going to be at the device level and at the edge. That does not mean we won't have cloud computing. We'll have both, but we'll have more innovation, more privacy, and better processing because we'll have more of this available to us. You have probably heard how big AI companies have gone on a spending spree lately to figure out answers to the electrical component, right? Because with AI, you need three things. You need the engine, you need the processing, you need the data, and you need the power. It is of no coincidence that they're starting to buy up nuclear plants. We have to figure out this big answer, and AIs will help us. Quantum will help us. How do we get to power these in a way that is more tenable, more affordable, and most important, friendlier to our planet? So how all of these things combine is just amazing to me. Of course, I'm a geek on this, and proudly so. So then I am looking at number 9 and 10. And number 9 is AI in the real world. This is where AI is breaking through the screen and it's expanding from the digital world to the physical world. One of my favorite trends that I continue to see play out, sometimes I call it the big blur. We are neither online or offline. Oh my gracious, how future generations will laugh at us for saying that. We are neither online or offline. We are always living between the two. Even when I am dialing up for an app for an Uber or a Lyft, and I'm watching how long a little car is to get to me, I am in the real world, but I am in the digital world as well. Physical AI in the real world is a huge implication, which takes processing power, which takes all this, energy power, which takes edge and IoT technology. So they all combine, which takes agentic, which takes personal and contextual. But physical, I have to divide this into 3 areas, or I would be doing you a disservice, because these systems are coming in to the real world and they're bridging the digital and virtual world, and they're doing in 3 ways. First, mechanical. whether at the industrial level, the healthcare level, or the consumer level, we're going to see more machines powered by more AIs. I just call robots AI in a shell because that's what it is, to interact, adapt, and transform our lives and our industries. And then there's spatial. Now, I have a self-driving car on the screen, and it'd be rightly so to say, but CK, that's a robot. I get that. But these robots need to understand physical spaces in order to navigate them. So spatial AI is so important. It's also so important with augmented reality and virtual reality and better understanding space. Space is a huge context that they have to adapt to. And this is my favorite one. My favorite one of all. It's called Ambient AI, but CK lovingly calls it invisible. Why? Because ambient AI is when we have a connected, digitized, datafied world that is working on our behalf. So we are no longer tech obsessed. Okay, I'll still be tech obsessed. Guilty as charged. But we will no longer have to think as much about these systems because the best way that AI can serve us is by thinking and working for us. If I have AI sensors in my headphones and they see a store I like to go to, or there's a sale that can let me know at that time, if it can understand context, if I'm in a busier area and it lowers the volume, little micro examples to huge example like smart cities. I was just at the Science Museum last week and I watched a beautiful IMAX movie on Singapore, which is an amazing case study in and of itself. But the way it has digitized and connected the city while working to combat the heat of the city, it's called the Garden City because it did so much planting, is showing how it's using ambient intelligence. So it's invisible intelligence that's working on our behalf. And the more we can datafy things, folks, not just datafying our conversations, our grocery list, but digitizing proteins and cells and plants and being able to prompt them to have conversations, that's where huge breakthroughs happen because then we're asking a cell or a protein, why do you react this way? What is making you happy and why are you reacting in this way to cause a disease? Speaking to plants, all of these different languages that will require a truly connected world, but connected systems. So it's not just a connected car that gets you to where you want to go. It's a connected car that's connected to the traffic lights, that's connected to first responder, that's connected to other cars. So that's when I talk about ambient AI, and I call it invisible because I find that's more humanized and organized. Last, ethical AI. And this is most important. This is AI with a conscience, CK calls it. And this goes through all 10. And here we need responsible AI designed to reduce bias, increase transparency, and align with societal values. I keep being asked by so many good people, why aren't these AIs more aligned with our values? And I say, you're putting a lot on those robots. They are code and algorithm and they are magical, but they're not human. So of course they don't know. We need a balance, and we could find one. We need a balance of regulation that doesn't hamper innovation. And I'm going to leave you with 3 key areas we need to look at. There's a much bigger field in ethical AI, but I want to make this more manageable. I'm going to look at fairness. Fairness. We talk about AI bias. I hate that term. I say nope, and they go, why? It is an important problem. And I say, it is not the computers, the robots, and the algorithms' fault that we have bias. That's humanity. These AIs are having a mirror for us to look at how we've had wrongful language, wrongful hiring practices, which means we have an opportunity to fix these systems. So AI bias, Bias in AI, I'm okay with, but AI bias, if we're going to have accountability, we need to stop blaming the bots and we need to put the accountability on us. Thank you for my TED Talk and my soapbox there. But minimizing bias in data, in algorithms, and decision-making processes serves all of us in industry and on the consumer level. Transparency, we need to know when we're talking to an AI, because voice cloning and deep fakes and all of these are true problems, which means true opportunities. Here's where we're going to need quantum and where we're going to need all this reasoning-based AI. But we need to recognize that we are interacting with a system while also providing clarity on what data they're using, how they operate, how they make decisions. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, I tell you, when we're transparent with our customers. We tend to win that way. We have all these social media where we can communicate whether or not they're going to ban TikTok. We have all these others. So you want to be a good actor in this. And third, accountability, guardrails, and being accountable for these actions and being communicative. Again, it's much bigger than these three buckets, but I wanted to have three areas that I could really hit on with ethical AI. Now, I have talked about 10 pivotal AI shifts across personal, conversational, customizable, adaptable, multimodal to intellectual, aspirational, local, physical, and most important, AI. And I hope that I have achieved my goals of helping to simplify, it's still a lot, hoping to humanize this for you and better organizing this for you. I see that we have about 6 minutes left, through which I want to take some questions. But again, worry not, all questions will be answered by a human, not an AI, early next week, and we'll create another video on that. So with that, I'm going to call on my mate, Margaret. I'm going to take a sip of my Diet Dr. Pepper, and I want to hear of any questions that you have that we can answer in this time. Over to you, Margaret.
Oh, CK, thank you so much. That was really inspiring and thought-provoking because we have a lot of questions for you.
Okay,
I will try to incorporate the ones that came in the chat as well as in the Q&A. I'm just going to kind of start from the top. When we do our review of the questions later, I think we'll be able to group them and
yes,
organize them a little bit better
we
than
sure
I can
will.
do with so many today. But I will begin with this one.
Yeah.
And it's Bruce asking, what about privacy issues relating to apps and companies knowing everything we search for via their technology?
Uh, Thank you, Bruce. So that cuts across ethical AI and having the accountability and the transparency. Okay. So that's one area. So that's regulation. Second, more and more local AI, that edge will help to instill privacy. And third, and most important, is not AIs, it's humans, because we humans are going to be listening to others about the good actors in AI and technology overall and the bad ones. Remember, all these social media, I use them as business media, are a terrific way for us to communicate. And it's kind of funny how quickly bad actors and companies change their tune when we stop buying from them and we start talking poorly about them. So those are three areas there. We really need to put ethical AI at the top. And that's going to come from us voting with our dollars, right? And voting with our attention. Okay. That's really important. The consumption of the good actors versus the bad actors and the communication and letting others know. I thank you for that. And I'm sure we'll go into it more when we have our next session, Margaret and I, with some Q&A.
Okay, thank you for that,
Yeah,
CK. And our
absolutely.
next question, which companies are going to be the top AI companies in the next 5 years? Can you read the crystal ball?
I'm going to give you some industries that I think are going to be helpful because just like Nvidia has come out with their better chips, so is Qualcomm. So, one, industries that can answer the power conundrum. Because remember, three components: engines, all these great algorithms, data, right? The power. So industries, whether that's nuclear or another. So that's one that's going to do, I think, going to do very well. I think any and every technology company that simplifies the process of making like AI agents that work for us so reduced on complexity and transparency. And I think a third area, I really think a lot of devices that are going to come, and they may have small language models because they're personalized to us, not large language models. But I think having these, whether they're small computers that are really powered up, or like I was saying before, wearables that can be really looking out for us so we don't have to be so proactive, those three areas I think are going to do really, really well. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll give you this one more question for now
Yes.
so that we can wrap up on time and assure all the 20 some odd additional questions will be addressed in a
Yes.
separate recording.
Yes.
But I will go with this one. Um, how can AI be leveraged in healthcare to overcome the challenges of complex data sharing and enhance interoperability?
Okay. Great question. In many ways. And with healthcare, as with all of these regulated industries, and quite frankly, for me, throughout my 30 years, I've seen some of the best uses of mobile IoT and now AI in regulated area because constraints really get us really creative and innovative. But AI is going to be used in many ways because it's both multimodal, because we've now gone from systems that were OG and oh so fundamental AI a few years back that needed structured data. Now that we can use unstructured data, images, videos, and they can work with complexity so well. So it's not only with healthcare that you have different types of data unstructured in different modes, visual and whatnot, is that you have so many different databases and they need to start speaking to each other. We have been working on this for years and decades. AIs are going to be much better, whether it's agentic AI or reasoning based AI, or frankly, a mix of both of them to start pulling those databases together, along with regulation that's already existing, and of course, privacy regulation that needs to be improved. But in healthcare alone, there are so many ways it's going to help through bringing all these databases together, bringing all of these systems together, researching for it for cures, and a lot of problems and a lot of solutions we're not even seeing because they're so siloed. And I'll go into more of that when we have our offline Q&A, or I should say our online Q&A early next week, and we videotape it because it's such a big area and it's so complex that it is ripe for innovation and it's ripe for solutions through these AIs. But there's just so many areas it needs to be used. But chief among them is helping to pull together all these different databases where a lot of answers may lie. We just haven't connected them yet.
Fantastic. CK, thank you so much. And that thanks is on behalf of myself as well as Dean Lay and especially our team here at Rutgers Business School Executive Education. Your time and helping us to keep up
Of
with the
course.
fast-paced and pervasive changes taking place with AI. I'd also like to thank our audience. And especially enthusiastic participation today. Usually I say in chat and Q&A, but we had so many reactions. I've never seen so many
I've
come in on one
seen
of
these,
our
and
webinars.
I was like, I see little hearts and stuff, and I love seeing little hearts. But
Feeling the love,
I was
right?
trying to stay in the moment, and I every so once in a while had to look, but everything. But please, let's remember, in a time of AI, let's remember this. It is here to serve us. Us. Second, we have never had a better time for those onboarding, no matter the age. I'm 55, to be able to leverage these technologies and learn these technologies. They talk our language to get ahead, right? You're relevant regardless of age, industry, gender, whatnot. And also, it's about a human revolution. I know it's scary saying, oh, how my job will change. In a few years, you might laugh and say, oh my gracious, I spent so much time going through so much email when I could have been coming across all this innovation. We just need to continue reskilling. So in a time, humans are most important. Those humans that are fighting the fires, right? And those humans in this session that are going to continue learning so that we can improve and see our
Oh,
improvements in real time. So I am going to be with Margaret early week, and we will also get you this recording. Give us a few days. Margaret, back to you, and thanks for the hearts, everyone.
oh, thank you, CK. So I have a couple of reminders for the audience. One of
Yes,
them
ma'am.
you just touched on that we obviously had more questions than we had time to address in our hour here today. So being respectful of everyone's time, we'll take all of those remaining questions and record responses to be posted along with this webinar recording. And as CK mentioned, we'll need a couple extra days to do that. Um,
Can
we
I say one more thing,
Go ahead,
Margaret?
go ahead.
I'm being asked for emails. It's easy to find me. Allthingsck.com. Allthingsck.com, or a link with me. And I will also, yes, get to all these questions because we have other talks and webinars that are just fruitful that have already been recorded. But if you want to find me, I'm at allthingsck.com. And I'm always in Rutgers discussions. So thank you.
That-
I'm sorry we went over. Margaret, back to you.
Okay. So our RBS webinars take place on Fridays at noon. And
Mhm.
if you wouldn't mind scrolling to that slide, CK, that shows where to
Yes.
find our past ones and our forthcoming ones, that would be great. Um, our brief survey that comes up at the very end when you log yourself out is 3 questions, and it includes an opportunity to suggest topics for us for to be featured in our future webinars. And we mentioned this at the beginning and a couple of times during the session. Um,
Mhm.
a link to the archived recording of this presentation will not only be shared via social media and email, it will also be found on the Business Insights page of our website, along with the recordings of our previous virtual lunch and learns. So I thank you and wish you a great rest of the day. I usually close out at this time, but what I'm going to do is end the recording and try to grab the last of the questions that showed up in the chat, because that doesn't come to me as a report. So you might have to log yourself out, our participants, but that's because I'm doing some good work over here. CK, thank you. And again, our audience, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.